All right, we're live here.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
Live from the Santa Monica track. It's officially
Santa Monica.
Oh, from the UCLA track.
Thank you.
Santa Monica track is still closed.
This is the famous Drake Stadium.
Still closed from the pandemic.
This is where it all began.
This
with
where
coach training.
This is where Rayford Johnson trained and
That's going back. That's
lit
going
the
way back. Before my time, but not before coach's time.
And Milan Tiff.
and Milan Tiff.
Might
Great
be one
Milan
of the
Tiff.
best athletes ever to go
Yeah.
to UCLA, who still trains every morning. And can still, at his age, 70 years old,
Triple jump, right, Coach?
Yeah.
he could beat most. He could be very competitive in the triple jump today.
Yeah.
If he,
Where he was the world record holder 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And Rayford Johnson lit the torch for the '84 Olympics
It's true.
here in LA.
It's very true.
And we have special guest all the way straight from Detroit, Michigan, Jonathan Banks. Is here, representing
Trainer
with the
champions.
Detroit hat.
Trainer
Banks
of
Boxing Club.
future Hall of Famers. We
Yeah,
were just
many.
talking about that. Vladimir Klitschko's definitely getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
His brother just got in.
Yes.
Vladimir's more accomplished than his brother. You know Vladimir's getting in. Trains Gennady Golovkin.
Right.
Golovkin, with what he's accomplished right now, he could retire.
First ballot Hall of
He's
Fame.
First ballot
Absolutely.
Hall of Famer. And arguably the greatest female fighter ever.
Yep.
Cecilia Breakers.
Also, first ballot Hall of Fame.
That's
Yep.
right.
So
She's
we're
getting
honored.
in there.
We're honored to have JB. Okay, when did you get to LA? You got on Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Wednesday,
something
yeah,
like that.
okay.
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, just happy to be back in LA, UCLA, grand opening. So we out here enjoying the sunshine.
We're officially
Awesome.
here at the track. Before
Exactly.
we were unofficially at the track, but here's we get a weather report here from UCLA. See the beautiful
This is not
track.
like anybody
No
training.
clouds in the
Seems like
sky.
Everybody training here, they're in shape. They're serious.
Nice fresh air.
I don't know if they're professional athletes or amateur athletes or if they're personal trainers.
There's some professional athletes out here
Yeah.
running on that track.
Right?
Yeah,
You
for
can tell,
sure.
right?
Yeah. But a lot of people
Half
staying in
these
shape.
folks. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're serious about their fitness, which is beautiful.
So Larry says hi. He tuned in.
What's up, Mambo Chicken?
Yeah, Mumbo Chicken. That's right.
Hey, Jonathan, did I read somewhere that you got a new client? Like in the last month or two?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Badu Jack.
Badu Jack.
Badu Jack. That's
Jack.
what it is.
That's a great addition to the training roster
Yeah,
right
Badu
there.
Jack is. I always felt he was a good fighter. You know, he got a
Very solid.
very solid, very hard working, and yeah, just looking forward to progressing with him, moving him forward. Hopefully, once boxing officially start back and being consistent,
Yeah.
he can get his rematch with Pascal,
It's a good fight.
and he can go ahead and retain his title back and keep moving forward from there.
Yeah. Off camera, we were talking about disciplined fighters and how rare it is and how few
Right.
100% disciplined fighters actually have existed in the history of the sport. And I would imagine that Badu Jack is a disciplined fighter.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe not Marvin Hagler disciplined, but
Yeah, well,
he's disciplined, you know?
You got two different levels with two different fighters right there.
Right.
You know, Marvin Hagler was just, it seemed like he was born an animal.
Yeah.
And the only thing somebody had to do is hold him back until the bell rung. Once you let him go, he do his thing, you know. But so I think both fighters are disciplined. They just have different ways of going about it.
Yeah.
Marvin Hagler discipline is, I'm gonna make sure I eat the best of the best. I'm gonna train hard as I can, because one thing you're not gonna do, you're not gonna outwork me. You know, he had that mentality for a long time until I think he still had that mentality. But when he fought Ray Leonard, for some reason he chose to go orthodox. I just think he himself, he just wasn't his original self.
Ray kind of got under his skin in a way.
Yeah, of course.
Got in his head a little bit.
Ray does that, and I think out of all of them, Hagler was the most disciplined,
Yeah.
but Ray was the most savage.
Yeah, you're talking about the Four Kings.
The Four Kings,
Yeah.
Roberto
I would
Duran,
agree
Tommy
with that.
Hearns, and
Absolutely.
For all our viewers, since we do have Jonathan Banks on the broadcast today, anyone that has a question about Kronk Boxing Gym, about Emmanuel Stewart, about Vladimir's career, any of the, JB's own career, any of the Detroit, he's like the Doug Fisher of Detroit boxing history. He's the historian. That legendary Kronk team, Hilmer Kenty, all those guys, right? JB, Tommy Hearns.
Yeah,
And
Bill
before
McCoy.
the
McCoy.
Kronk Gym, there was the Brewster Center.
And that's where I started at.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow.
Emmanuel Stewart started at the Brewster Center. I started at the Brewster Center.
Yeah.
How I met Emmanuel at the Brewster Center, 1996, which is the same year Vladimir Klitschko won the gold medal.
Wow.
Right, in Atlanta. That's
And
right.
that's the year I won the Detroit Golden Gloves at 147 pounds. And Emmanuel asked,
147.
Emmanuel asked,
47.
Detroit Golden Gloves.
I was gonna say
How about that?
middleweight.
See, I didn't know that. See,
was
that's
gonna
something
guess
new. I didn't know JB won the
Emmanuel
Detroit
asked
Golden
who was
Gloves.
that 47 pounder that won the Golden Gloves. I want to know who that is. Who was that? And they said, oh, he over at Brewster. And I ended up meeting Emmanuel, and man, it was insane. Man.
So who's the most famous and accomplished boxer ever to come out of the Brewster Center?
The Brewster Center,
Uh-huh.
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Sugar Ray Robinson.
And
I was
then-
gonna
There
say
you
Joe
go.
Lewis.
And then Joe Lewis. Joe
Okay.
Lewis is next.
Yeah.
But Ray Robinson
Yeah,
first.
Ray started at the Brewster Center as a boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was his first experience being around boxers and being around boxing.
Yeah, this is some serious Detroit boxing history right here.
And who's the greatest trainer ever to come out of the Brewster Center?
Out of the Brewster Center?
Yes.
Luther Burgess.
Luther Burgess. See, I would have said Eddie Futch.
I put Luther Burgess. Only reason Eddie Futch, I would never take another word from him.
Right.
Luther Burgess and Eddie Futch is like a top.
Yeah.
But I've had more history with
Yeah.
Luther Burgess because my first trainer was Ivan Blue Lewis,
Okay.
who fought Muhammad Ali.
Yep. Heavyweight.
And
I think he fought him in Ireland.
And yes, he did. And he Luther Burgess had trained so many other top tier fighters that was around the city. He even was a part of Womack.
Yeah.
You know, he did a lot.
Womack, I remember.
He did a lot from going down to the Chronic Gym and helping train the fighters there too.
Former
So,
featherweight contender too. And who's
Exactly.
the all-time great that he fought?
That who fought?
Luther Burgess.
Burgess.
Luther Burgess.
At
One
featherweight?
of the greatest of all, like a serious legend.
Right.
Salvador Sanchez?
No, way before.
Oh,
Sanchez's
before
time,
Sanchez.
yeah.
Okay.
But the greatest, Sanchez is arguably the greatest featherweight since this fighter.
Okay.
Greatest featherweight champion.
So who was
Willie Pep.
it?
Willie Pep.
Burgess
Why
fought
that
Willie
name?
Pep.
Luther Burgess.
Why was I about to say Willie Pep? Why was I about to say Pep?
Yeah.
I remember Luther Burgess.
That's
So,
amazing.
Yeah, he was a good dude,
Yeah.
man.
So a week from tomorrow, on
Yes.
June 22nd,
Yep.
That's a holiday.
John's birthday.
John's birthday.
Oh, I didn't know you knew that, but that's a holiday.
Pretty good.
Oh, Dave
That's
looked
a
it up.
holiday.
Dave's the expert with birthdays.
Yeah.
Birthdays and
Oh,
nicknames.
really?
I'm terrible with
So I want to ask you this, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember your very first pro fight?
Very first professional fight. That's a
Like-
good question. What
like it
year
happened
did you turn
yesterday.
pro?
Yeah.
Like it happened yesterday.
Who was it against?
I can't tell you my first 10 opponent's name.
Okay, who was the referee of your first
I
fight?
can't tell you that either. I don't know.
I'll
What
tell you,
what year was
Mike.
it, JB?
That was 04.
When you turned pro? 2004?
Yep, and it was ironic because I was sitting in my room. My room was across the hall from Emmanuel's room. 'Cause I was living with him. And he said, Jonathan, I just came from the gym, regular workout, nothing serious. And down in the crowd gym, we would spar every day anyway, because that's what we like to do.
Right.
So I'm sitting on the bed after a shower. He said, you know what, Jonathan, tomorrow we're going to New York. And he walked away. He said, oh. And the next day we're going to drive up to Connecticut. You got your pro debut. He walked away. I'm like, hold on, what? I said, you serious? He said, yeah, you had your pro debut up there, up in Connecticut. I'm like, that casual. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no big deal.
Whose show was that on? Who was he training?
I don't think he was training nobody.
Oh, okay. Because Emmanuel a lot of times would have the main event
Yeah,
fighter
exactly.
and then have a
That's
number
right.
of his
These
guys.
underneath it,
Yeah,
sure.
he
On the
wasn't training.
undercard.
It
Yeah.
was so ironic he wasn't training nobody.
Huh.
He was already had business going on in Connecticut.
Okay.
And he said, since I'm there, you're not doing nothing anyway. Turn pro. You got your pro debut.
Where was that? Was that like in Mohegan
That was
Sun?
at the
or-
Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
Okay, there you go.
And so I had to. So once I found out it was real, once he guaranteed it was gonna happen, and we signed the contract for the fight, I had to call my brother. I said, listen, tell mama, tell everybody, I'm about to turn pro in Connecticut.
That's
He said,
great.
"You
Paul
serious?"
Banks.
Yep. I called Paul, and they all hopped in the car. They hopped in the van and drove up to Connecticut.
That's where Mohegan Sun is where Shane Mosley won his first world title
That's right, against Philip Holiday.
Philip Holiday, yep.
Summer of '97.
The referee was Mike Ortega.
Michael Tager.
You know who
JB's referee for pro debut.
his Pro debut
in
and
Connecticut.
Michael Ortega's dad was Gaspar.
Gaspar.
It was really good. So do you know where you had your second fight?
My second fight was I went from there to I want to say Indiana.
You went to California. You went to
Oh yeah, you know what?
Pachanga.
California.
You know what? Pachanga. I was. 'Cause that was,
Pachanga, okay.
That was my man. That cut me. Still got the cut on my eye to this day. I still got the mark. He
Yeah, Manuel had a lot of fights at
worst
Pachanga.
cut
That's
ever.
right.
So that guy, that was his debut.
That was his debut, and I
And
didn't know
he
that.
had 3 fights in his career. Got knocked out twice in one decision. So, do you know who was on the main event that night?
Pachanga.
James Tony. Because I talked to him at the
I remember.
restaurant.
I remember
that.
that.
Was when James Toney had the rematch with Hassan Rahman, right?
No, that was Rydell Booker.
Booker.
Rydell
That was
Booker.
Rydell
You're right.
You might have been there.
I was at that
I
show.
wasn't at that one.
That was a Goosen show,
I didn't
right?
care
Yeah,
for
that
that
was a
fight.
goose.
Yeah, I was at that show.
Yeah, that was just.
Bernie Barmansall was on. He said that pro debut was on a DeBella show
That
up
fight,
in Connecticut.
That fight
Mohegan
ruined,
Sun.
No, it didn't.
I remember that Rydell Booker
Well,
fight
mentally
with James
probably.
Toney.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but well, he's fighting again now.
He's still. You know
out
what?
of jail.
He's good.
He's back out. He's out.
He knows how to fight.
He's out of
He's a
jail.
good
He
gatekeeper.
always knew how to fight.
Yeah. Oh, he was
He
a good
always knew how to
amateur.
fight.
He was a good
He was
amateur.
one of the top amateurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely one of the top amateurs.
But yeah. Psychologically, I don't. That was not good for him. Taking
Yeah,
those
but
rubbing.
speaking of referees, I want to give a big RIP to Big Eddie Cotton.
Eddie Cotton, that's right.
Eddie Cotton was one of my favorite referees, even to work with other fighters,
Yep.
especially a lot of years with Vladimir.
Yeah, he did a lot of Vladimir
Michael was
fights.
talking to me, he said, Jonathan, whatever you can do, always try to get Eddie Cotton, because he one of the fewest taller referees.
Yeah.
Yep.
He said he's always fair, but you don't want no short guy. You don't want none of your opponents sneaking a punch to your guy over the referee's head. So get a tall referee.
Yeah.
And Eddie Cotton is not only tall, but he's a good referee. He's efficient.
He was tremendous in
He's
there. Always kept
he's
control,
always fair.
good reflexes.
Eddie Cotton
Yeah.
was the reason that I was able to get past Alicia Castillo. Because when I got knocked down, like I think it was 3 times in the first round, the last thing he said, you got to show me something. I'm trying to give you a chance. You got to show me something. And I really believe, like any other referee, they just would have said, whatever, twice. There's no way this kid can come back. Because everybody else thought the same thing. There's no way this kid can come back.
Right.
You know, but, you know, a lot of times you got to trust the instinct. I believe he did. He gave me that window of opportunity to have a comeback, and I was able to do it.
So go back over that. So you got knocked down 3 times in the first
3
round.
times in the first
But
round.
what fight was that?
That was
Alicia
my first
Castillo?
ESPN
Yeah,
fight
it was a
with,
big
Alicia
time
Castillo.
Cuban amateur.
Yeah.
That was cruiserweight, right?
That was cruiserweight. He Alicia Castillo had he beat Michael Moore. He
Right.
beat Michael Moore, and he went up. That's when he got the NABO. And he went to fight Vladimir, and Vladimir was on his comeback trail, and he lost to Vladimir. He went back down to cruiserweight and won the title. And Emmanuel had dinner with his manager, which is we still good friends to this day. The manager, and they bet that. He said, what you talking about? I had Jonathan, he's a little cruiserweight. He had knocked out Alicia Castillo, and they made a bet that I wouldn't be able to do it. So the best thing about that fight is I got the purse and I won the bet. So it was a great feeling. But
So when you had your pro debut, so what were you feeling like that day?
I felt naked. Oh, hold on. That day, it was like any other fight. I didn't know what to expect because I've never done it.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong. I had guys at the gym. I had Tommy Hearns coming to me. Other legendary fighters at the Croc Gym. They knew I was getting ready to turn pro, and they would tell me little things about you used to fight, and it's a regular fight. Just go fight. But until you get in there and have no headgear on, no shirt on, like it's just a feeling that. I don't know, man. It's an unbelievable feeling. I felt naked. I'm like, man, this feels so different. No
Right.
shirt,
Small
this,
gloves, no headgear,
the
no
gloves
shirt.
are small. Yeah. Everybody, these gloves are small, but you got to think, like, his gloves the same size as yours.
And you can't block as well, right?
You're not the only one with small
Yeah.
gloves. you know?
Right.
But I loved every second of it, man. It was butterflies in my stomach, but nothing. It was nothing that I ever thought twice about not doing it. It was nothing about that.
What was the result of the first fight? pro debut? Was
It was
it
a 4-round decision.
4-round decision?
Yeah.
So how'd you feel afterwards?
I felt good. I was upset that I think I got cut. My first 3 fights was the worst I ever experienced. I got cut my debut. I got cut. My second fight, I had to finish the fight with my eye swollen. It was just about closed because I got head butted, and he scraped his head across me, so it's already cut. So my eyes basically open like a baked potato. It's like this right
You
here.
mean like Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko when he was rubbing the braids?
It was cut really bad.
Into the cuts.
Then the third fight, somehow I injured both hands. Every time I touched the guy, I just felt nothing but pain.
Huh.
But I learned because Emmanuel didn't want me to come to the pro, have my pro debut. As soon as I thumped the guy, he'd just fall out.
Yeah.
He wanted me to have tough fights, and that's what allowed me to get past the first time I ever hit the canvas with Alicia Castillo and something like that.
Let's go back to that fight. What happened after you got knocked down 3 times in the first round? What happened after that?
The craziest thing in the world happened. This is the only fight that has ever happened in my life. I sat on the stool, and Emmanuel rubbed my face and told me how beautiful of a job I did. That's why this fight would never leave me, because he told me how beautiful a job I did. And I looked at him, I'm like, what? He said, oh man, beautiful job. The way you held on to the guy, this and that, you did a beautiful job.
You composed
but he said,
yourself.
but this is what I want you to do when you go back out there. And I'm like, okay, because I felt like everybody in the arena looking at me like, you about to get knocked out. It just felt like, man, I'm embarrassed.
Right.
Like the first time this happened, I'm so embarrassed. But the way
that's an example
he made me feel
of a coach,
confidence builder.
that can be ice and fire, can be a technical coach and the motivational speaker, because there is psychology involved. And the first thing Manny did was calm his fighter down and restore confidence.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's why you got to pay attention to what's going on, so you can know what to give them what to give the fighter in that moment.
What did Emmanuel say?
No idea.
What did he say to do in the
He
break?
said, just go back out there. He said, work behind your jab, though. That's all I want you to do.
Okay.
He said, you start pushing this man back. He said, as soon as you start pushing him back more than once, you go break him. Just make sure you keep pushing him back. And that's what I started doing. And the fourth round, I ended up knocking him out.
Wow.
The emotional part for me was, I've never seen him jump in the ring like that and throw his arms up and he said, that's Kronk, and he just gave me the biggest hug.
Wow,
I'm like,
that's great.
That was insane.
That's awesome.
I gotta find that on YouTube.
That was insane. He jumped. I've never like when it comes to celebration.
Yeah.
Like Emmanuel got lended past so many good fights.
Yeah.
And his face was always he was like this. I've never seen him
That emotional,
and
huh?
celebrate like
Wow.
that, man.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
That was like one of the. It was just, man, it hit me like super hard. I'm like, wow. Just to see him like that, it was crazy.
You're homegrown.
Yeah.
And you show grit.
But the thing about it, though, now coming back from that year to the first Seth Mitchell fight, it's the same thing Sugar Hill did and said after I knocked him out.
That's right. Sugar Hill was.
And Sugar Hill is Emmanuel's nephew.
Yeah.
That's remember Seth Mitchell, where JB took over when Emmanuel got sick.
Yeah.
With the first training camp with Vladimir, and then a week later he fought Seth Mitchell.
Yeah, that was a great story.
I would say
that was on HBO, right?
That was HBO.
That was my
second round knockout.
First and last.
That was one of the most.
That's a pretty good appearance.
Right, listen, I want it on HBO. I don't care nobody say.
Yeah.
For me, that was one of the most emotional wins right there when you knocked out Seth Mitchell, because they brought you in as an underdog.
That was emotional for me because of all what I had to go through.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, like, to hold back emotions is one thing, but to actually have to work while you're doing it. Like, we all in the pandemic. We understand we got to hold back something, and we can't live our regular life. But to have to work something you have never done before, work a job you never done before, and you got to hold back these emotions, it was an insane moment.
Well, and that was right. Not only did Vladimir fight the week before, but then, remember JB? They held off on Emmanuel's funeral.
They held off on Emmanuel's funeral.
So after Vladimir's fight.
So Vladimir could be there. So Vladimir fought Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, I flew to Detroit. Tuesday, me and Sugar Hill worked in the gym. Wednesday, we buried Emmanuel. Thursday, I'm off to Atlantic City. Friday, I'm talking to the press. And Saturday, I'm back in the ring looking at...
fighting his own
That's a
fight.
whirlwind.
Yeah, both Vladimir and Mattelli came for the
Yeah,
funeral.
they
Right?
both, matter of fact, like I was walking in I was getting ready to walk in the funeral. I got a phone call. I stepped out. It was Vladimir. Vladimir said, "JB, where are you?" I said, "I'm at the funeral. Where are you?" He said, "I think we're pulling in now." He told me to wait for him. So I waited, and I walked in with Vladimir Mattelli.
That's a pretty emotional week.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man.
Having the heavyweight champion defend his titles and then winning his own
Lot of
heavyweight
pressure,
fight and burying one
a
of
lot
the
of travel.
sports
Sure,
icons.
there was a lot of fatigue after your fight.
Yep.
I was like, okay, now I can rest.
Yeah, that was in Germany. That wasn't even on
Right.
the same time zone.
Yeah,
that
but
was
that
in
kind of
that
travel,
was the
yeah.
Stangleward training
It
camp.
was insane,
Yeah.
man.
Stangleward training camp, and then Emmanuel's funeral in Detroit, and then the fight was in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
I would say that was what would you say? Would you say that's JB's best win
Knocking out
or best fight?
Mitchell?
Yeah.
Yeah, although the Castillo knockout's pretty
Or
big
the
deal.
Castillo,
when
right.
You
I don't
consider
think-
the
right.
Castillo's amateur background.
I just think
The fact
Seth
that he
Mitchell.
competed at heavyweight already.
Remember how they were building him up with all the knockouts and everything
Yeah,
on
yeah.
HBO?
I mean, that was a higher profile. Just to me, that's just an amazing boxing feat to train the heavyweight champion of the world
and train
title
yourself.
defense
He's training himself at the
in
same
that
time.
emotional situation. Jonathan had lost a mentor, and Klitschko had lost a trainer
Right.
and mentor.
Yep.
And then in 1 week, within the span of 1 week, bury your mentor, or see your mentor laid to rest,
Right.
and then have to gear up for your own fight.
Right. Yep.
I mean, how often does that happen in boxing history?
I
I can't just think of one
That's
instance.
unprecedented. Yeah. Didn't we use JB when Vladimir was sparring? And I keep trying to tell people how many sparring partners you would bring in because Vladimir was just like kind of going through them.
He
So
had at least
he's like 10 to 12
he
sparring
had
partners,
10,
right?
He had 10, then he brought in 2 more because he wanted some smaller guys just
Yeah.
for speed.
Different styles.
Get his eyes a little bit sharper and stuff like that.
Didn't we use some of the same sparring partners that Vladimir had, and a couple of them would spar with you also, right? Didn't
I went to him. I said, "Listen, lad, my sparring gonna start next week. I need some sparring partners.
yeah,
There's no point in flying nobody else in. You got a boatload right here."
Right.
So he said, "Okay, who do you want?" So I can figure out who I want to let go.
was Dillian White up there at that camp?
That particular one, no, I don't believe so.
I remember Dillian was up there a number of times.
I think I remember Midas Bridges being one of my sparring partners.
Oh, Marius was up there. Yep,
Marius
that's right.
was one of my sparring partners for like 4 or 5 fights.
Okay.
And,
Yeah,
so
he was a good worker.
Yeah,
Marius was
very
a
good worker.
very smart guy in the ring.
I loved every bit of it.
Yeah.
And Jamil McCline.
Oh, Jamil. Okay.
Jamil McCline was not only a good sparring partner for me, he was a good guy just to have around.
Yeah.
Because he got so much experience in the sport.
Yeah. And he's a smart guy.
He was the first one to sit me down. He said, "Come here, kid. Let me tell you something." He said, "You don't even know what you're doing right now. You don't even know what's about to happen." He said, "Could you fucking think about?" He said, "If you pull this off, your life will never be the same." He said, "What are you talking about? Pull what off?" He said, "Are you fucking kidding me? You training fucking Vlad Klitschko." I said, "That's number one. And you getting ready to fight your own fight. Like no other fighters have done this."
No.
I said, "So if you pull this off," he said, "if you get a win-win, your life will never be the same." He said, "I just want you to understand what you're getting into. I'm not trying to put extra pressure on you. I just want you to understand what you're actually getting into so you can be fully prepared for it."
That's a good perspective, JB. Why don't you talk about that a little bit further? And Doug, maybe this would be an interesting topic that, we used to bring in a lot of sparring partners, and a lot of times you look for the different size, naturally, if they're tall. Like Marius Walk. Remember Walk? We had to bring in tall guys.
Yep.
Isn't that when we brought in Deontay because of his height?
Well, Deontay, did he come in from Marius?
Or Joshua? 'Cause I know we were getting a lot of tall guys for that camp.
I believe so because Marius Rock was my first fight with Vlad.
Right. That was the fight.
That's
Yeah.
why Jamil was there.
Right, Jamil was tall.
That's why Jamil was there. And Vladimir gave him over to me, and Jamil even came to the fight because my last week of sparring was Vladimir's fight week. So every day we going back to the hotel.
Right.
I got to go spar 12
That's
rounds.
right. You were training that. I remember that now.
The media workout was on
Yeah.
Wednesday, which was the best thing because I was sparring. I was off Wednesday. So I had to go do the media workout. Then I was finally able to go rest because the obligations of it. It was like for me, it was insane.
I remember that. That was JB's toughest sparring week was Vladimir's fight week when he was doing all the publicity for Vladimir's fight, and then he was doing 10 rounds of sparring during fight week.
But you were going to ask about.
About the sparring partners, yeah. So naturally,
experienced guy.
Yeah, you try to get the same size, you try to get a similar style. Sure. But what JB touched on is really important about Jamil McCline. You try to get guys because you're up there for like a month, 6 weeks with these guys, seeing them every day. Yeah. And you try to get guys that are positive, that are hard workers, that really benefit from the camp, or add, I should say, add positivity to the camp rather than some guys.
Some advice.
Remember some guys JB had, and there's negative. Remember the one guy stole some stuff from the Stangleward shop, and then they hid it like in the room, and then we had to send him home.
And the thing about it, he denied it. Yeah. We know he did it because we got the cameras to prove it. We just want the stuff back. Now, once the Vladimir got wind of it, we all agree and send this dude home. He'll never come back here. Right. Yeah. But the sad part about it is, this was in the summertime. Yeah. Okay, this happened. Around December, I get a phone call from one of the workers at the Stangleward saying, we found the stuff underneath the snow, all mildew, and it is ruined. For no reason, though. Yeah. That's for absolutely no reason.
I think it was actually the opposite. If I remember, JB, he hid it when it was snowing, and then when it melted, when it melted, they found the clothes.
That's true. They found the clothes, and that's after the snow melted.
But can you imagine a 5-star resort like that, having the opportunity to work with Vladimir Klitschko, and JB was up there, and all these other guys. We had Deontay Wilder was up there for one of the camps. Joshua, remember. From Australia, who's the guy from Australia? We had him up there also.
I can't think of the dude's name from Australia.
I remember the
Parker.
Parker, Joseph Parker was up there a number of times. Dillian White was up there a number of times. Wow. Jamil, what's his name? From New York. That guy was always a headache to negotiate with. The one that just tested positive for the Joshua fight.
Big Baby.
Yeah, Big Baby Miller, Jamel Miller. Jamil, and remember, every time I'd call him up, it would like triple in price of how much he would want to spar with Vladimir.
I gotta say on record, Big Baby Miller is my guy. I got nothing but love for this guy. But with that being said, I think I forgot who I was getting ready for. Tom called me. We was getting ready for fight. This is what I was cruising with.
Yeah.
And I called, and Big Baby Miller, we already been talking. I said, hey, man.
Yeah, you were friends with him.
Let me get some work.
Yeah.
He said, really? I'm like, yeah. He said, how much you paying? And I think I talked to Tom. Tom said, JB, don't get me wrong. We ain't got no budget like Vladimir budget. Mm-hmm. But we should be able to get him between $800 and $1,000. $800, then another $2 for food money, so $1,000. I told that man that. He said, yeah, let me talk to my trainer. I'll call you back. I seen him in New York. He gave me a big hug 3 years later.
Didn't he? I think he asked for like $5,000 or something.
He already wanted too much money.
Yeah.
So then the ring coming back up to the Pisco. We had Big Baby up there, and I thought he was pretty good. Yeah. We didn't have an issue with him. Vladimir liked the fact that he was aggressive. Yeah. He said, I like these young guys that's aggressive because I have to think. I can't just sit there with them because they're aggressive. So I don't know what happened in Big Baby's mind, but the actual results was when he got back home, he put it all in the paper. Man, he broke Klitschko.
Oh yeah, didn't he say he knocked him down or something like that?
He dropped him one time.
Yeah, I remember that.
He said he got sent home because he beat him up too bad. He said, actually, man, you still at Johnny Banks. They was up there, they know. But like, I can't. Still, I would say all of that. I got nothing but love, Big Baby.
I like Big Baby, but he was definitely challenging to try to get. And a lot of times at that level, you kind of do favors. It's like because he's getting just as much experience sparring with Vladimir, sparring with JB at the time, and then if he asked JB for a favor to spar for it, you reciprocate. I got a story that I remember now. We were talking about it, JB. Remember the fight, Adamek fight in Poland. And you were on that show. And remember, one of the sparring partners that we had, he was going to go home, and then we asked him, okay, I think your original opponent fell out, and then we said, do you want to fight JB in Poland? And he agreed, and so we flew him to Poland, the guy from Chicago. Remember the guy from Chicago? And then we fly him to Poland, and then all of a sudden, I think it was Thursday before the fight. Fight's on Saturday. He's like, I'm not going to take the fight. I'm going to fly home. That was bizarre. That's never happened to me. And we had a signed contract. We had the whole thing. And that was a bizarre situation.
What about Adam? He was in the training camp. Adam.
Konecki, yeah. Adam was he was in training camp.
My guy. I sparred Adam a bunch of times.
Yeah,
That's my dude.
Adam's
man.
a good guy. I like him.
Like he's one thing. The thing I like most about him is he had a lot of good wins.
Yeah.
He never changed. Still the same guy.
Yeah. Adam's a nice guy.
Man. Adam's
And he can fight. That guy can fight. Yeah.
He just got caught.
Yeah. Oh, Cynthia Conte's, she's listening.
Oh, yeah, I was talking to her.
She's tuned in, and she has a question. She's asking JB, are you getting ready for a heavyweight comeback like Tyson and Holyfield?
First of all, hello, Cynthia. How you doing? Second of all, if I had the name recognition they did, why not?
Yeah.
I would. If I had the name recognition them guys did. But no, I'm not.
You know what's funny? I joked with Vladimir. I said, Vlad, if you come back, you'll be the youngest guy coming back. Out of all those, all those guys.
Vladimir Klitschko is flirting too much with this comeback.
He's in great shape.
Now listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Vladimir is my guy. Talk to him quite a bit, and all I'm saying is he's flirting too much with this comeback. He's flirting with it too much.
I personally think
seems like he's a good trainer. Wasn't he working with Holyfield?
That lets me know it's on his mind.
Sure.
Well, he's staying in shape, and I think out of all these guys coming back, I think Vladimir could still
He has the best shot.
Because he's the only one that don't have to get in shape.
Right.
He's in shape, yep.
That dude stays in shape.
But he could beat a lot of these top 10 guys, if not beat all of them, you know.
Yeah.
And Fury, that's a tough fight.
Vladimir would be a betting favorite, an odds favorite against any top 10 heavyweight except for Fury.
But he would be
and Joshua.
Except for the guys that have wins on him.
But he still would be a bigger draw.
A huge draw.
For Fury. Klitschko Fury is a bigger draw than anybody else.
Yep.
With Fury.
You know who I
right
always...
now.
But he thinks he can beat Adrian.
JB, you know who I always thought I'd always like to see him matched up with, which never happened, was him and Deontay. That would be a tremendous fight. Two tall guys, two big punchers.
That was a beautiful fight when they was on sparring. But no matter what happened in that fight, it would be devalued because of what Tyson.
Right. But I mean, before that, I always thought that was a great fight.
100%.
Yeah, two big punches. That would have been an exciting fight. Those guys fighting each other.
The crazy part about it, if he come back, if Vladimir was to come back, he will. I'm sure, and after talking to him, only fight that he will look at fighting is Tyson Fury.
He wants to get that one back.
That's the only one he would.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, we won't go into the conditions of everything that happened that day.
I would have to go up against Sugar Hill. That would be crazy.
Yeah. So, all right. And then, Doug, we missed. So there were a couple fights this week. Top Rank came back. Yeah. Shakur headlined the first
a couple
fight.
months after winning the
Vegas.
WBO featherweight title, he had a non-title bout against a late sub. Did what we all expected him to do. He looks good.
Yeah, good body shots.
Looks just as fast.
Yeah.
Obviously technical at 130 pounds as he did at featherweight. And I look at his frame and his age, and I kind of figure eventually he'll be a lightweight.
He's got a good future in front of him. Yeah.
And he's I mean, right now, I mean, he just won a title at 126, but I think he could fight any of the top guys at 130 pounds and probably beat him. You know, I'm not saying it's guaranteed. There's some dangerous fighters at junior lightweight, but he'd be a favorite to beat like a lot of former champions and even some of the belt holders.
He's got a great future.
Yeah, I don't know how long he can make 126.
As long as, in my opinion, whether he go up or down, stay where he at, the talent is there.
Yeah, talent's definitely
There's no question. The talent is there. Then you can see the natural talent of him.
Yeah.
But the only thing I would like to see is just for him to stay disciplined, no matter how much money he's making early on. Because you got to think about it. When these guys coming up, they making more money now than most of the guys made when they was coming up.
True.
So that's why I continue to say I would love for these guys to just continue to stay disciplined.
Yeah.
Because no matter what negative you can say about Floyd Mayweather, he stayed disciplined.
Yeah,
I
Floyd
don't
was
think
always.
he made the money they made this early on in his career.
No, he didn't.
Because he was with Bob Arum, you're not making that much money.
No, but nobody was. Nobody was making
because it wasn't
$1 million, millions of dollars.
Because it wasn't good at that particular
No,
time.
yeah.
So, but no matter what, he still stayed disciplined. And if they take anything away from their idol Mayweather, I think that's the one thing that you take.
Sure.
He stayed disciplined. He stayed in the gym. He stayed ready. You would never ever catch Floyd Mayweather Jr. not ready.
Yeah. Andre Ward is that way, and he's the manager or co-manager of Stevenson, so I'm sure he's talking to him.
I think long as he stay that
Yeah.
way, he got his future will get brighter and brighter.
Yeah, and I would imagine Ward wouldn't get involved with the fighter on the managerial side if he thought that guy was going to be undisciplined.
Well, that's one thing about it that you really don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you really don't know. Something can happen.
People can change.
They
like
can
you said.
have the death in the family. Something can happen, and it just messes with their head.
Yeah.
And they can really never be the same.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one thing that you just never know. But I'm in hopes that because he got a bright future.
Yeah.
He's shining bright right now.
Yeah.
And his future will stay bright as long as he keep that in front of him.
And we had on
And
Thursday.
On Thursday, it was headlined by Jesse Magdaleno.
Magdaleno
he had
against
a tough fight.
Lopez, right?
Dirty fight. But the fight of the night was Adam Lopez.
Lopez against
versus Luis Correa.
Right, that was the
I
fight of
knew-
the night. That's what
I
I'm
knew
talking
it would
about.
be. I knew that would be the fight.
And you
of
had
the night.
two great trainers
Yeah,
in
those
each
guys
corner.
were supposed to fight in November, and Adam Lopez got that 24-hour notice shot at Oscar Valdez, and he took it.
Right.
And so, but the Korea fight was rescheduled for April of this year, and then it got postponed because of the COVID pandemic. So these guys have been on each other's mind for like 6 months.
Right.
They've been thinking about each other for more than 6 months, as a matter of fact. And I know Luis Correa has been in the gym the whole time with Robert Garcia. So I knew he would be in tremendous condition, and he absolutely was. And Adam Lopez he's a battle-tested guy. He was a guy with 15 fights, but 7 of the opponents that he faced were unbeaten, and that's rare. And not just unbeaten, but actual prospects, because 2 of the guys that he beat have not lost since. I guess the Gold Star.
So we had Robert Garcia versus Buddy
One of those
McGirt.
professional athletes.
Oh yeah, she looks very professional. Robert Garcia versus Buddy McGirt in the corner.
2 corners.
Two calm guys
Excellent
that,
corners.
yeah.
The fight played out the way I expected it to, and I think Lopez deserved a decision. Very close though.
Although he looked worse for the wear, I'd have to say.
he got busted
his
up.
face looked worse.
I
I
loved
think he
his
won the
interview
fight, but
afterwards.
he definitely took a lot of shots.
He did, and to me, he's a guy who's earned like a showcase maybe fight or whatever, to where he can, put into practice some of the things that Buddy is instilling in him between bouts without being under tremendous duress. Because his last 2 opponents, it's hard for him to think about what he's learning in the gym because he's fighting so hard. Those guys put it on. Most fighters aren't like those 2. Most guys aren't that dedicated and that strong and that tough to where they can do that. So it'll be interesting to see, when Adam is in there with a fellow technician or whatever, and not just like a balls to the wall punisher.
And UFC had another fight, another show yesterday. Actually, JB, there was a girl from Kazakhstan. I texted G if he knew her. A girl from Kazakhstan, kickboxer, and she won. It was her It was her debut in the UFC, not her MMA debut, but UFC, and she had a first round stoppage.
Did you watch the fight?
On ESPN. I watched that fight on ESPN. That was the first.
Somebody sent me a
one
clip
tonight.
of the press conference, the post fight press conference, and one of the winners was talking about comic books. So everybody CC'd me on that.
There you go.
So I follow him now, but I can't even think of his name.
All right, Coach. Do you have any other questions for Doug or for JB? See if you can stump them.
Well, do you want some nicknames? Do you want some UFC nicknames?
I can't get them. I only know like the real big.
That might
How
not.
about Kevin
I don't even know the big name.
Aguilar, he fought last night. Age of Death.
Age of Death.
Morbid.
Okay.
Scary.
Age of Death.
They're more
better
violent.
be a
They're more
badass.
violent nicknames for UFC
They
fighters.
they are totally violent.
It's like heavy
I
metal.
thought the UFC sort of sucked last night. I watched it. But
Oh,
it
you
wasn't-
did.
What about JB? Do you have another question for Doug to stump him about some Detroit boxing history, or Kronk, or Emmanuel, or any of the
Detroit,
or
is,
Flynn?
Detroit was one of those major cities industrial. Detroit is Midwest, but it was like the one. It wasn't the one city. So there was Chicago, Detroit. Those were the big boxing hubs.
Ohio too.
In
Ohio.
Ohio, kind of northeast more. Yeah,
Well,
so
Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, with Ohio,
Cleveland?
there was Youngstown.
Oh, yeah,
and
Youngstown, yeah.
Springfield.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, and Cincinnati, and they produced a lot of talent.
And
Right.
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland too. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that where Cleveland?
But then there was New York City was kind of like the king, and then you had Boston and Jersey City. But those were like the main cities, though. But Detroit definitely, and a lot of popular fighters from New York and other places would fight in Detroit.
And Philly, because
Philly definitely. Yeah.
It's certain names. It's certain,
Pittsburgh too.
There's certain names nobody really
Joe
cares
Frazier.
about.
Yeah.
But when you see the city they come from, that's when you know you had to
Right.
fight.
Yeah.
And Detroit was one of them. Philly was one of them.
Yeah.
Like you said, the fighters being
Ohio
soft.
was one
Ohio.
of them.
There were no soft fighters coming from those
Yeah.
cities, right?
Yeah.
From the successful ones.
Cincinnati Cobra.
That was Ezra Charles.
You got it.
Where was Cleveland Big Cat Williams from?
He was from Texas.
Okay.
So,
Houston's a fight city too.
Where was Jesse Owens from?
Jesse Owens? That's a good question.
Ohio.
He ran for Ohio State University, but I don't think he was from Ohio.
Yeah, he was.
He was?
He was.
See that?
I
Doug?
used to go to the Jesse Owens Classic every year.
He was from
To watch
Ohio.
the
Where did he win his gold medal?
1936.
Yep.
I was in Germany.
In Berlin.
Berlin.
Jonathan knows.
Jonathan knows.
Just a
Oh,
little bit.
JB, do you know whose number is hanging on the scoreboard over there? The UCLA scoreboard? Let me show everyone watching.
Jackie Robinson.
That's right. This is Jackie Robinson. See, JB knows.
Where'd he go to
Let me show you. Here, number 42
Jackie Robinson was
at Drake Stadium.
You got it. So you know what sports he played here?
I can't recall the sports he played here. You know?
Did he play four sports?
I know he played sports,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that he played all.
He was a great football, basketball, baseball, and track and field.
All four.
As Rayford Johnson was too.
Rayford Johnson was four sports, right?
And if lacrosse was a thing, he would have kicked ass at
No,
that.
he wouldn't. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this, Jonathan. Who's the greatest lacrosse player of all time?
Lacrosse?
Lacrosse?
You got me on there. I don't follow lacrosse at all.
I watched. You know what? Let's answer your question first. I don't know. Lacrosse?
I don't know.
Jim Brown.
Oh, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
You mentioned
yeah.
that. You mentioned that once before.
You did mention that.
I
yeah.
watched the Bruce Lee special, the B. Water special,
Or B. Water?
and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in it pretty prominently from UCLA. Did he only play basketball or was he multi-sport?
No.
Kareem?
And he couldn't
Just
do
basketball?
nothing else but basketball because he was too tall.
Yeah.
But he could
Well,
do
did-
he could
did
do
martial arts and
kickboxing.
He did yoga.
Yeah, martial
he was
arts.
into that stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, his yoga was. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar something else. Man.
Yeah.
Still one of
Still,
the
yeah.
greatest ball players ever. Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
the greatest.
Yeah.
All-time
They changed the
scoring,
rules
all-time.
because of him.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Let's check out the nicknames, Coach.
Okay, I got some nicknames. Okay, I'm going to ask you this, guys. I have a whole bunch of questions for next week.
Okay.
We don't have time. Okay, but
right.
one of the guys I'm going to talk about is Ezra Charles.
Ezra Charles, okay.
Ezra
Ezra
Charles.
Charles, he fought Joe Walcott.
Jersey Joe
Yeah,
Walcott.
more than once.
Right. 4 times.
4 times.
Okay.
They always fight
So-
each other back then.
I know.
Jojo Walcott, he fought what? Wrestling around those
Yeah.
3 times almost?
Twice.
He fought him twice and got knocked out both times.
So you know,
Kicking ass that first fight, though.
Well, let me ask you this: on the first fight,
Yeah.
okay, what was the result of that fight?
First fight of
knockout in the 13th round.
Yeah, and who was ahead
right
going
hand.
into the 13th?
Walcott was ahead on at least 2 scorecards. I think 2 scorecards Walcott was ahead.
Okay,
And if you go and watch that fight, like the actual uninterrupted footage of it, Walcott, it was a masterpiece.
yeah, you know, that
I mean, it was brilliant.
So if it was today, 12 rounds, Walcott would have won.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have won.
Would have been a split decision or a
That
majority
was,
decision.
Ring
something like
Magazine's Fight of the Year, and the
Amazing.
13th round was the round of the year.
that. Sure.
Okay, so what's Walcott's real name?
Arnold Cream.
Arnold Cream.
Damn.
There you go. All right.
Not bad, huh?
Is he?
It's
Is
kind
he?
of a cool name,
Hey,
too.
That's his real name.
Yeah, I know.
That's what he went by. His whole
Yeah.
family was great.
Is he from New
He
Jersey?
did some Hollywood work after he retired. He was in, I think he was in The Harder They Fall. I think he was.
Hey,
Yeah.
so, you know, last
And he was
week-
good. I think he
Yeah.
played himself, too.
So last week we were talking about the first alley fight being like the Ali Frazier fight being like the biggest event of all time. And we talked about, I mentioned Burt Lancaster was one of the announcers.
Commentators, right? Yeah.
The other
announcer.
commentator, because when I got home, it was on TV.
Yeah,
So
on
I watched
ESPN,
it,
right?
and Archie Moore was the other commentator.
Yeah,
It was like incredible.
Yeah, he's
The
a-
I gotta
mongoose.
tell you, Burt Lancaster was so good. He was so good as a commentator. It was crazy.
Very smooth.
Joe
It's a
Louis
50th.
Oh,
tried it.
beyond, yeah.
Joe Louis tried it, but he was never a talker all of his career.
Never.
So he just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Emmanuel was very good at commentating. I always liked listening to him. Yeah.
Everybody misses Emmanuel.
Yeah. No, he always
Right?
had great insight. Yeah.
He just didn't take forever to get to the point. He would say the basic things and it
Yeah.
just made the most sense.
But then he also got excited.
Yeah,
I think fans like that. The fact that he
Yeah,
got
they liked his
Cause-
energy.
Because
Yeah.
all of it was genuine.
Yeah.
And he really, more than any other commentator that I've ever heard, he really understood the sport.
Yeah.
And not only did he understand it, he actually did it.
Right.
You know, and he actually taught it. You know, I think a lot of commentators, my disagreement with most commentators is when they state their opinion about a fighter and they don't have no clue what it's like to walk in that type of shoes. To say
sound
what,
like James
that's-
Tony.
what they would or wouldn't do.
That's a
You
challenge.
know what I'm saying? But it's a challenge because they all do it. And even I think a lot of ball players criticize the different commentators for their genre.
Yeah.
For what they say, well, he don't have this, he don't have that.
Yeah.
But I think either way it go, it's a slippery slope talking about anybody's life work.
Right.
You
Nobody
know,
knows
I'm
unless
sorry,
you've done it.
Criticizing somebody's life work. I think stating opinion, stating the downfall is one thing, but when you go into criticizing and tearing them up, I just think that's a whole nother
So what do you think about
situation.
Andre Ward as a commentator?
I think he's doing a pretty good job.
He's incredible.
I don't see an issue with him.
He is so
I mean,
smart, so articulate.
He's showing his intelligence.
He's
and he's good. I've always been a fan of Andre Ward.
He is really
Like,
good.
I've always been a fan of Andre Ward. He's very, very smart guy.
Everyone else hates him.
I don't
These
see
guys
why.
hate him.
I like him better as a
I like
commentator
him
than
better
as
as a
a fighter.
commentator.
Pretty
Yeah,
tough.
But I will say this. I mean, here's my one criticism on commentary. Period. Not just boxing, all sports, everything. There's too much of it. I mean, you know, those weren't championship level fights on Tuesday and Thursday. But
Right.
how many commentators did we have? 6.
Right, yeah, there was a lot of
Five? So
commentators.
we got
Yeah.
Andre and Timmy
Yeah.
and Joe Tessitore and Mark Kriegel, and they got Bernardo Osuna there. That's 5 right there. And I think there's another. I might be leaving somebody out, but I'm just like, that's a lot of voices, man. I'm just like,
Well, you know that Tim Bradley's a voice into his head while he's doing it to Teddy Atlas.
well, I mean, yeah, that might explain the yelling.
Yeah.
That's why my daughters ask, why does he yell everything he says? I'm like,
that's-
Timmy's excited. I don't
I
know.
do get what you're saying. Though.
Yeah, it's just too much.
Because
It's like
back in the day, you had three commentators,
sometimes one.
and somebody would take the lead, and somebody else will voice their opinion, but you won't hear all three of them trying to talk at the same time.
You know what? If I'm on a broadcast booth and there's more than 2 of us, I'll lay out unless somebody else agrees to lay out. Like when it was me, Beto, and Steve would say, "I'm not going to say that much. I'm going to get in where I fit in. It's mostly going to be you two." I'll be like, "That's cool." Sometimes I've done a broadcast booth where there's 4 of us, and I know from experience the other 3, you know, they've got egos. And I mean ego in a good way. Like they're good, they're professional, and they know it. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to take a step back. Nobody told me to, but I'm only going to say something if something's happening and nobody else can speak to it.
So I'll tell
And
you
I do
what,
it
there's
like
a
that.
guy who used to do it alone, solo, and his name's Jim Healy.
Jim
He
Healy.
was incredible. So if you get a chance, you go watch a fight. It's in January of 1977, and it's Palomino against Palomino.
Mondo Ramos.
No.
Not Mando Ramos, Mando Muniz.
Yeah,
Armando
so
Muniz.
It was a 15-round fight.
2 college grads.
Yeah, 2 college grads. It was an incredible fight, but Jim Healy was the only announcer. Also,
Did just fine.
they
Howard
had-
Cosell would sometimes go solo, and as with the great Don.
No, but if you watch that and you hear Jim Healy, I mean, it is like a masterpiece. Also, the ring girl at that time was a fat Mexican guy. And,
That's funny.
But was he wearing a Budweiser bathing suit? That's what I want to know.
And the canvas had no writing on it whatsoever.
All right, we should wrap up a little bit. Where do you talking about Jersey Joe Walcott? Where's Jersey Joe Walcott from?
Oh, that's a good question. You would expect Jersey, right? I think he was probably born in the South, like a lot of folks. But I don't know.
Do you
That's
know,
a good
Dave?
question.
Jersey.
Huh?
New Jersey.
He is from New Jersey.
I think so.
That's why I asked for how did Cleveland Big Cat Williams get his nickname Cleveland?
That's just his name.
Oh, that was his
That's
first
his
name.
real name.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Got
Big
it.
Cat with the nickname.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Cleveland's a name.
His parents met in Cleveland.
Maybe, yeah.
there you go. All right.
Honeymooned there.
Hey, do you got any last
Conceived
nicknames,
him there.
Coach?
Hey, I want. So nice out here.
Yeah, that's
Everything's
nice.
opening up.
Everyone be happy.
Still you gotta be careful.
You gotta be
You gotta
careful.
be careful, but you also really this is a great opportunity to exercise. So I do see a lot more people walking.
Yeah. Speaking of exercise, I'm gonna hit some mitts.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
the
we
first
haven't done
time-
the mid segment yet.
First
Oh,
time in
we
at least 20 years. First time since the 2000s.
you know what? Let's do a separate segment.
You wanna do
on
a
that. Yeah,
separate?
We'll,
Okay.
we'll do it. We'll start a new Periscope.
Yeah. Hey, Jonathan, thanks a lot for coming
Thank you,
today.
Jonathan. Good stuff,
No
man.
problem. No problem. Got the mitts coming up.
And happy birthday.